All right, after a few months of seems like a few months of being away, not much to talk about. We're back for kind of the amateur hour of goal horns and fight songs to kind of get back into things as we're stepping closer to the start of the NCHC season. Still got a few months to go, but we're getting closer
We
and
are
we're getting back into the swing of things.
we're just over the halfway point of the off season. It was 3 months ago that the college hockey season ended. It is 3 months from now that the college hockey season will start. The NHL season's been over for almost a month now, even though it feels like that was not that long ago.
Yeah, it feels like a week ago.
But I mean, a lot of things have happened since we last had an episode. There's been the wrap up of the pro season, the NHL draft, some highly touted prospects picking colleges and signing deals and doing whatever it is that they do. Big news today is that McKenna has apparently officially announced that he is going to be going to Penn State, um, which is, I guess, where we can start off because this isn't, I don't know where the show's going to go tonight, but let's start here. Uh, Bigger deal for Penn State or NCAA hockey as a whole that he made his announcement that he is going to Penn State. I think this is what the first real big name coming out of the CHL. Now that they're able to transition to NCAA hockey.
I I think it's more of a bigger deal for Penn State than it is for college hockey. Just because as I was scrolling through Instagram, whatever his nuts is from Spit and Chicklets and that whole group who does the different college arenas, he was just at Penn State and talking with their coach, and their coach was saying, "Yeah, we were supposed to have 2 years as an independent. We only had one, and all of a sudden we're playing with the big boys after being a club team." Now you said for a year, I'm like, I think you're maybe a club team for a little over a year or like more than 1 year. But regardless, he's like, these kids, they had passion. It was cool for them. And now look at the strides that they've made just as a program in a few short years. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, they have not been a program for very long, and they've been progressing each year. And now to get this prospect that didn't choose a North Dakota, a BC, a BU, a Denver, or a Michigan, that he wants to go play at Penn State. I think it's bigger for them than college hockey in general.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it's the first big name coming out of the CHL now that CHL players are eligible for NCAA hockey. Uh, it's not the first time that a projected number one pick has gone to a Big Ten school or an NCAA school. In fact, I think, what is it? 2 out of the last 5 years have had an NCAA player be the number one pick, whether before or after they got to the NCAA. Um, that being Powers and what was the other one? I just looked at it.
Was it Celebrini?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, they both played NCAA hockey. So I mean, for that part, I guess the big news is just that yeah, we're seeing top guys from the CHL come over and make the decision to want to play NCAA hockey. But like you said, I think it's more of a big deal for Penn State to be able to get that big name. Allegedly, he could be making up to $700,000 in NIL money, which is on par with some of the previous year's entry level contracts if you're at the NHL level, um,
Hmm.
for first year guys. So if that's the case, I mean he's making good money to come and play. But I guess like I always have this same thing that like no matter what you say about a number one pick or a touted prospect, it's like let me see what they do on the ice with the team before I start crowning people as the next whoever, whatever, whenever. You know what I mean? Um, I think Penn State's now like the number one favorite to win the national tournament on a couple betting sites, which is like really you got one player. Let's calm
That's
down.
ridiculous.
I think there was a Michigan team that had like 4 out of the top 5 uh, overall picks and did not win the NCAA tournament. So let's
Yeah,
maybe,
that was just only 2-3 years ago.
yeah, yeah, that Owen Powers team, I believe he was one of
Yeah.
them, and then it was
Yep.
like, so yeah, you could get number one picks to go to your school. It does not instantly make you the top team in the country. Hell, the team that won it this year did not have a top first round pick on it, and it was a team that, you know, a lot of people did not have high hopes for. It was a team of a bunch of new guys. It was 16 new players, and a team that lost 70% of its offense somehow managed to come together and lose very few games in the regular season and go on a run at the end of the year that found them at the top of the pile for their first national program or national championship in program history in the Western Michigan Broncos. And there's been some other teams, I think your Duluth teams that went back to back were
Hmm.
more teams than just relying on star players. Yeah, they had great goaltending in that run, but you know, outside of that, I mean, Scotty Perunovich is a big name on those teams, but still, he's not doing it by himself. There's a history of having great players is cool and all, but it doesn't result in championships all the time, no matter what
Yeah, and
level we're at.
I think if I remember right, Scotty was just on one of the back-to-backs. Because I know he was younger than Adam was when they lost to Denver. But they were definitely built like the Western team where they weren't high draft picks. A lot of guys ended up going undrafted, signing as undrafted free agents. Uh, but that's what you look at even Edmonton. You have arguably the best player in the world right now in Connor McDavid on that team. And, you know, maybe the second or third best player in Leon Draisaitl. It's a team game. They talk about football being the ultimate team game. Well, at the same time, you can make a very good argument for hockey
Mm,
because you're only on the ice for if you're out there for a minute 15 seconds, that's a long shift.
yeah.
You're getting gassed. And so you have to rely on your other teammates. Like, yes, you can change the game, but it's not like basketball. You see LeBron, he what he would do when the rest of his team around him was trash. He can just take over. Um, Hockey is very much just because you have one. Look at Ovi, how long
Mm.
it took him to win a cup.
Or even, you know, names that might stand out a little bit. Carey Price, uh,
Yeah.
incredible goaltender, no Stanley Cup championship. Roberto Luongo, you know, incredible goaltender, no Stanley Cup championship. Uh,
Hmm.
Henrik Lundqvist, incredible goaltender, no Stanley Cup championships. I mean, guys who played phenomenal in the regular season always gave their team an opportunity to win games, but the goalie can't score goals. I mean, they can in certain situations, but they're not, you know, scoring game-winning goals for your
Yeah.
team, winning 1-0 because the goalie scored a goalie goal. Uh, so yeah, it's definitely a team game, and you've got to have all the right pieces. Because I mean, really, the only team that bought its way to a Stanley Cup, if you want to say it, was the 0-2 Detroit Red Wings. Is the reason there's a salary cap in pro hockey.
Yeah.
They found
And
a way
and
to but even still, like, those guys had to set aside a certain amount of ego to play and get to that point and get Dominic Hasek a Stanley Cup championship.
and I mean, you could still technically say more recently with the new CBA, in the playoff salary cap that Tampa and Florida both kind of and Vegas all did the same things where it's like, oh sweet, no salary cap in the playoffs. We'll just put Kucherov or Barkov or whoever on LTIR. Oh,
There's
weird.
there's definitely
They're
still some
amazingly
gamesmanship.
healthy.
Yeah, there's still some
Uh,
gamesmanship going on in the world of professional hockey, but I mean, I think it just speaks to even that first year of that Vegas team. Like, that team came together quick. No one expected them
mhm.
to be able to find themselves in the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, and they did against Ovi, who finally got his ring and his cup. But like, yeah, just look at, and even other teams with great players. How many cups would uh, Crosby have if it wasn't for Malkin uh, and
Latang,
Letang.
Kessel, Flurry.
Well, I mean, what is it? Letang? Is it Letang? Crosby and Malkin are like the only three players in NHL history to spend like 20 years on the same team together or something like that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't remember if Letang is the third one or not, but I know
I
Crosby
believe
and
it's
Malkin
I believe it's
for sure.
Latang.
Yeah, no, those guys playing together, the chemistry that they have on the ice and even in the locker room to spread the message if they're not playing on the same line is a big deal. It's the coming together and the being an actual team that I think will beat out a lot of salary cap stuff, and the importance of whatever level you're at I think will shine through. And there's definitely guys who are just here to just in college hockey to get to the next level, but there are some guys who college hockey is the end of the road.
Yeah, and well, you even look at it back when the only time the Wild made the Western Conference Finals, we were still a brand new team with a terrible expansion. Like for you were meant to suck basically,
Yeah.
and those guys banded together and they made the Western Conference Finals, and they lost to a better Ducks team. Like Jaguar, phenomenal goalie. He played really well. Like Solani was on that team. Like it was a better team, but they were able to at least get that far, which we haven't seen since. It doesn't. Superstars help. We're not arguing against that, but it's how they play with the team and what the team does around them. That's why even Kaprizov, it's kind of like, or you hear it all the time. Well, is this guy going to leave because they're not building around him? Is he going to leave? And it doesn't really matter the sport. Um, are they going to want out because they're unhappy because they can't win here?
Yeah, I mean that too. So it's a lot. I mean, it's cool to see. It'll be interesting to see this year how the CHL players blend and how that style of hockey meets with the style of hockey that every different conference plays. It's not the same hockey across the board. Um, and we see that every year in the NCAA tournament. They're like, these guys do not play the same hockey as they do out east, or even the CCHA, the Big Ten, and the NCHC do not play the same style of hockey, and they're in the same rough geographical areas.
Yeah. Uh, the one thing that I'm going to find interesting, I think that there's a kid from Proctor that committed. He's a goalie that committed to UMD. Don't remember if he was in the NA or the USHL last year, but then he's going to the WHL next year, and then following year coming to UMD to play. And that's going to be kind of the interesting transition now too, where the the, the three CHL leagues, everybody kind of puts them a little bit higher than the USHL, which I think is a fair assessment. They're fairly even, but I think the CHL is just a little bit higher. And that's that next stepping stone. So you might even get older players coming in instead of playing in the USHL, but then more quality hockey because they're taking those steps moving up throughout the ranks.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see what else. So the House bill passed. I believe finally it is 100% confirmed that it has passed. Lots of
Mm-hmm.
schools are jumping in. Western's confirmed to have jumped in. I believe North Dakota is. I want to say they're holding off this year and going next year. I believe was the last thing I saw. Um,
I don't know. Brad and Sydney have been kind of quiet,
um,
at least on my feed, but that doesn't mean jack.
so rosters go down to 26. Players can or coaches or teams or somebody can um ask for an exemption. So if a player was there last year or as an incoming student and would be outside that 26th player, I believe they can ask for an exemption and would be considered They would get like an asterisk next to them as an exempted player, so that's going to last a couple years or however their career is. So again, it's I don't know everything. There's been so much change the last 5 years in college hockey that it's hard to keep up with, and you're just holding on and waiting to see when it's going to finally settle down and we can figure out what the new landscape will be. Because every time we think we're getting somewhere, new things change. New teams come into conferences, new buildings are being built, and teams are moving. New rules are being put in place. New talent pools open. So
Yeah.
it's just been chaos here as of late. Um,
One thing that I did see that I didn't read the article because I was at work, but I saw on Twitter that is it Tennessee State that was supposed to get their hockey team this year. They are
yeah,
not going to be playing this year, um, which that's unfortunate. And it looked like there was something to do with administration and funding issues and uh, whatever. Like I said, I did not read the article. I'm just going off the headline, but them not playing this year, that sucks because they have been working very hard to get this team to be able to play Division 1 hockey.
yeah,
And it, it'd be cool for the Nashville area, and that's really cool for growing the sport because a lot of these new teams that are coming in, they're in places that, you know, for the most part are hockey-ish areas where Nashville is not. Other than the Predators, it you can't go skate outside.
yeah,
Is basically what I'm saying. Like you don't have the frozen lakes and rivers and whatever to go play hockey. Now, yeah, Lindenwood down in Missouri, they don't really have that, but they have more options than Nashville would. So that's kind of an unfortunate thing to hear.
yeah. I think we were wearing shorts in Nashville when we were down there. Granted, it was November; it wasn't like the heart of winter, but I think we were wearing
I don't
shorts
know,
when we were down there a couple years ago for the Western Northeastern game.
probably or at least a t-shirt for me and jeans. I mean, it was nice.
Yeah, I was sweating. Um, so development camps have taken place, or I think all eight, nine. There's 9 schools now, soon to be 10. All 9 NCHC schools were represented across the league, um, in one form or another. So that's good to see that it's definitely a league, a conference that can get you to the next level for sure. I don't think there's really any
Hmm.
question about that. Um, Big names that weren't a surprise at all. I would say that Bump we knew was going to be with the Flyers considering he signed his entry level deal this year. Hampton Slukinski was out with the LA Kings as he was drafted by them. Uh, Grant, his brother, earned an invite out to LA. Was also so he got to
Oh,
play
nice.
play a little more hockey with his brother Hampton, which I think they're enjoying playing together for the first time in their careers and has brought them nothing but success so far to this point. We'll see where it continues to go. I just saw the Duluth one, but then I clicked on it something else on Twitter. So let me go find that one again because our favorite off-season hockey league is getting ready to gear back up.
I don't know. The beauty league is pretty good here.
And Three Ices is getting ready to make its run again this summer after not competing last summer.
Yeah, they've been the typical cheesy Minnesotan thing. Instead of saying it's duh. And I've been hearing ads on the radio and oh yeah, come down to the beauty league. It's whole fun for the whole family. And I'm like, just please shut up and get off my radio. Like it is a fun thing. It's 4-on-4. Um, they've upped the price. It's $20 to get in now. I'm like, oh, I'm busy on Wednesday nights. But they have pros to college kids. There's a lot of gophers that go there. Not too many UMD or St. Cloud kids that go there, but um, it is still fun. And one of my favorite memories, because I went a few times, was Thomas Vanek. he had his wild helmet and Red Wings breezers and was still doing 4 strides and glide. I'm like, why are you even out here? He just was like, yeah, I'm not gonna try.
Yeah, no, not six, 8 Bulldogs invited to camp. Max Plant and Brady Cleveland went to the Red Wings camp. Zam Plant and Ty Henson went to Penguins. Adam Kleber with the Sabres. Adam Gajan with the Blackhawks. Jason
Yeah.
Shagabe and Callum Arnott with the Tampa Bay Lightning. So
Hmm.
good representation of. Oh, it also looks like Hunter Shepard is signing with the Ottawa Senators
Hmm.
after being released from the Washington's line of teams. I think he got a couple games up with the
Yeah.
Capitals. Spent most of his career there with the Hershey Bears, winning a couple AHL championships. Um,
Yeah, he had one rough game late in the season, and that it was so funny watching uh or reading some of the comments. It's like, I knew he'd never be more than an AHL. I'm like, buddy, you have no idea what you're talking about. And you know what? So maybe that guy is right, but you you didn't watch him play in the AHL. You have no idea. How many goalies come up, they struggle to start, they go back down, they come up, they do a little better, and they kind of go back and forth. Goaltending is one of those positions that you really aren't an elite level goalie 90% of the time until you're probably 28, 29. It seems like, because it takes so long to develop. You get your oddballs like was that Tampa and Pittsburgh, where both Murray and Vasilevsky were both like 21.
yeah, but I mean,
It,
look,
it
Murray like disappeared. So he wins 2 Stanley Cups as a rookie, essentially, because the NHL has that
Mhm.
weird rookie rule. I think baseball does too, where you have to meet a certain number of games played or something to be no longer considered a rookie after 1 year or something like that. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, Matt Murray is credited with 2 Stanley Cup championships as a rookie, uh, and then kind of disappears. I
Yeah, it
don't
falls off the face of the earth.
I literally, and there's like 2 Matt Murrays, so it's hard to figure out which one's which and what team he's
Mm.
with, um, half the time. But yeah, no, he had an incredible couple years as a young dude and then disappeared. There's been goalies who have left college early. Like I think a lot of people were expecting more out of Devin Levi. He kind of struggled at the NHL level with the Sabres. Uh,
Uh, what was the kid from the Gophers that left
he left the
to go to Charlotte?
dude. The Hurricanes did him so dirty. I can't remember,
Yeah.
but yeah, he leaves at Christmas after having an incredible first half of the season for the Gophers. I think maybe plays like 2 games with the Hurricanes and then gets sent down to the minors. And then I don't even remember where he's at anymore. But yeah, no, that happened.
It's you have to have patience with goaltenders, and here in Minnesota at least, we're dealing with that with oh, I'm blanking on his name now. Uh it'll come to me. But he's kind of supposed to be that next big thing, that like that franchise goalie. And he had some time last year, and
Gustafson? Or one of your
no,
lower guys?
AHL guy.
Oh, I don't pay attention to your AHL team.
But he's been up and down, and he got blown out in like his first start, and now the team didn't help him out. He went down, he came back up, he's doing a little better, just trying to get that confidence up. But that's what you have to do with goalies. It's so rare that they have, and even players, it's so rare that they do well and they sustain that. They're gonna hit lulls and skids that they need to build their confidence back up.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
there's reasons that like we talk about like the sophomore slump for a number of positions. Like everyone, even NFL quarterbacks. If you're a rookie quarterback who gets that start that first year, you're like, all right, cool, you came out of the gates. Now, what do you do your second year? Like that's going to be the look for
mhm.
the kid out in Washington. Everyone's going to be like, all right, what are you going to do with your second year now that your first year was so great? CJ Stroud, he kind of regret or had like a little bit of a slump his second year, but there was injuries around him and things of that nature. Um, what was the first thing that we talked about with Umberco after he had the freshman season that he had, and um, the kid in
Yeah,
Omaha, like Cozy, and
like
even
cozy.
yeah, and even person we did it with. Like, I mean, there's a reason that like you want to see what they do their second year and can they build on it. And I think even we're gonna look at Hampton that way this year. He did not have every start. He played a little over 50% of the games. He got the starts down the road. Um, I don't know that he.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Jesper Wallstedt is the goalie.
Oh.
I was thinking.
I wouldn't say he exceeded expectations. I think a lot of people knew that he was going to be a good goalie, and take over that starting spot. Um, and that was kind of, I think that was kind of the expectation going into the season. I think what exceeded expectations was the team as a whole this year.
Hmm.
But I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to see what Hampton can do this next year. Does he have a good defense in front of him again? Did the younger guys learn from the 1 year guys who were here? The experienced transfer guys because they're gone. So can they sustain that defensive play and make the right adjustments there? Uh, we're returning quite a bit of offense, more than I think we have over the last couple of years. If you look at the offensive turnover that Western's had, they're going to be a kind of young team this year. Uh, so yeah, I think that does put a little bit more pressure on Hampton, and we'll see how he adjusts to that pressure and plays in his second year. Can he have a sophomore season like Cozy and Emberico did? Um, but Emberico struggled a little bit this year in his third season.
Yeah.
That was not the same goaltender that we saw there. Um, it'll be interesting
Well,
to see that, and if Hampton's not done after this year. I think there were kind of a few people who were expecting that he could potentially be one and done. I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibilities to be two and done. Look at Isaac Posh of St. Cloud State. He was two and done,
yep.
and really took over at the end of his freshman season, much like Hampton did. Uh, Went down with an injury in the middle of his sophomore season, but still played well enough that pro teams were like, "Hey, we'll take a chance on you and we'll sign you to your pro deal now instead of waiting." So I'm not expecting it to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if we only get Hampton for 2 years. I think I don't know enough about him personally. I've only talked to him like maybe once to know if he's like the type of guy who's gonna want to stay and finish his degree and made a commitment to the university, or even what that commitment was. I think there's a lot of universities who are open to one and dones, two and dones. Um, give us what you want to give us, and if you're ready and you want to move along, and we won't hold it against you type situation. So we'll see what the future holds for goaltending at Western after this year.
Yeah, and I think the big thing though for a lot of the, especially NCHC universities, it's if you can give us 2 years where, yeah, you might feel like you're ready after one, but give us a second year. We're going to really help your development because it might not go that well, but here at least the people where that jump to the next level is going to be a struggle. And especially with goalies, you look at Hunter Miska, or not Hunter Miska, Kazkowski Sewell. He was a one and done at UMD. He went to Toronto. He struggled. He ended up going over to Europe for a few years, and now he's back somewhere, I think. Um, but goalies really are the ones that take time to develop. And um a lot of these guys, unless you're like a Jack Eichel or a Macklin Celebrini, that you're just that good. Uh, you need that second year, maybe third year to keep going and really establish yourself, put on that weight. You look like Perunovic. He, he can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
He's just small, and it's nothing against him as a player. He just can't stay healthy, and he's signing minimum deals. Um, the and even McAllister, I think he should have stayed another year. And we said it that before he even left, we think he should probably stay another year. But he could have gone and torn it up, and we would have been wrong.
Yeah.
It's such a crapshoot, and it's tough. But I don't think one more year of development can hurt a player. It can only help,
I mean, even
unless you suffer a catastrophic injury. But
even if you have the physical skills to move on, like I don't know that there's anything wrong with taking an extra year just for to have fun playing the game. Um,
right,
to have one more year of fun before it becomes your job, before it's your everyday thing. I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. You listen to a lot of podcasts and guys who leave early, they always kind of say like, "I wish I had stayed one more year." Um, no one you never hear, "I wish I would have left earlier." Even if you're on a bad
hmm
team, like I don't think anyone says, "I wish I would have left earlier." Everyone says, "I wish I had one more year playing with the boys or in that locker room or with that group, whatever it may be." So I mean, even if you're like on the bubble and you're debating, do I want one more year of making money, or do I want one more year of just enjoying playing the game and being with the guys that I've been on a team with for the last year or 2 years or whatever the case may be? Like maybe that should weigh a little bit heavier and don't be in such a rush to get to the business side of the game and get to selfish hockey.
well, and that's the thing too. You bring up a really good point. Is yes, there's still that competition of depending on where you are in the lineup of losing your quote unquote job, but in college, it doesn't actually mean you're losing your job. Like, yeah, you have your contract that you're still gonna be getting paid, but if you lose your job to some other player, are you going to get that next contract? What you have to worry about that, where in college it's like, well, this sucks, but I still get to be around the boys and have fun. Now, it also depends on the team, how you get along with teammates, and um I know I was super happy to graduate college earlier because be frank, I was not a huge fan of a lot of my teammates on the tennis team. As much as I love the sport, I was super happy not to be around them anymore. Because we didn't mesh. And that's a perfectly legit reason too. But yeah, it doesn't hurt to just enjoy playing the game and not have to worry about where's my next contract coming from? Where is am I going to run out of money if I don't get another contract? Oh, sweet. Side note, Twins just went back to back home runs.
Oh, there you go.
Go.
I hope they trip around any
Sorry, Ben.
bases.
They're playing the Cubs, so sorry, Ben, if you're watching, listening.
Ugh.
Not really that sorry though. Uh, but yeah, we got sidetracked with that. Yeah, it'll never hurt to stay one more year. And you know what? If you get injured, then you have really good training staffs to get you back, and the team will more than likely take care of you. Uh, and then if you don't, you get that extra year of development. Uh, that's why I kind of don't like the one and done rule because in basketball and I mean hockey has it too, but just have that second year. Football, college football, it's 3 years. I like that a little bit better. Um, anyway, sidetrack. Now Correa hit a double.
Well, I
We're
mean,
up five. Rip.
they would have to like in order to say that like a player had to play a certain number of years of college hockey or a certain number of years of hockey in a European league or whatever before being drafted, they would have to change the draft rules and entry level
Yeah.
contract rules. So I don't think we'll see that anytime soon. Because that was the big deal with football. You had to change it so that you couldn't even teams couldn't draft you until after your third season. Uh, Basketball, they had to change it so that you couldn't be drafted. You weren't draft eligible until after
It,
spending 1 year
in a pro league.
or college after
Yeah.
graduation, or high school graduation, or something like that. Um, Baseball, you can still be drafted straight out of high school. Hockey, you can be
Hmm.
drafted straight out of high school, but not a lot of guys are making the MLB at 17, 18 years old either. There's a sustained developmental path in baseball that I think is similar to hockey in some regards, but if you're a top prospect, they really want to get you to the NHL as soon as possible.
Yeah, and with hockey, the thing is, you have, your what is it? You go to the if you go to the NCAA, if you don't sign after your junior year, then you become a free agent because they have your draft rights
Yeah,
for a
3 or
certain
4
amount of time,
years.
which that is fine. And I actually like that a lot, where the team, yeah, they can push, but you also have that choice where you can choose to stay that extra year, but it's like, hey, we still have your rights. We want you to develop a lot longer. I don't know how it works for international players, but
Well, international players
they can stash them away.
they can be they have a wider window still, I think. So
Yeah, because
if you're
Kaprizov stayed over
yeah, if you're
for,
US or Canadian, your draft eligibility ends at 21. If you turn 21 before the NHL draft, I think it's 21 or 22.
but then they have your
But
rights for what, 3 years?
mm, I think it's dependent on where in that you're drafted. So if you're
Okay,
drafted at 18, I think they hold them for 3 or 4 years, and then it progressively goes down. So if you're 21 when you're drafted, you
like
only have 1 year. Uh, but if you're a European player who doesn't go to college or the ECHL, I think it's goes to 22 or 23 that you could be drafted. It's been a while since I looked at this, so I don't
and
remember for sure.
well,
Um,
I'll figure out when Kaprizov was drafted, when his first season actually was.
but I mean, even like, granted, now don't get me wrong, Connor Bedard has shown that he can compete at the NHL level, but at the same time, he's an 18-year-old kid. If Chicago didn't want him to play, I think he might have had a year or two of eligibility in the CHL, but he would not have played in the AHL or the ECHL. He would have had to either have gone back to the CHL or gone overseas, and how much
Yep.
of that affects his ability to develop physically and emotionally. Because I mean, at 18, you're still developing physically. Like you're not.
Yeah.
It's probably not till you're 27, 28 if you're a male that you finally like get your quote unquote man body. Where
Yeah.
your skeletal development is kind of peaked at where it's at. You know what your musculature could be, and you can build on it and put on more. Um, but I think playing the schedule they play, the travel they have, the physicality of the sport, I think all of that will degrade your body a little quicker. And it's why you see athletes fizzle out at 34 or 35 and are old and have knee replacements by the time they're 40 and hip replacements at 45 and back surgeries at 37. Like,
Yeah.
to say that, these are, uh, this is not the normal wear and tear on a human body, and we're asking young people to do it and go through it.
So it looks like Kaprizov made his debut roughly when he was 23, and we drafted him when he was 18.
Yeah.
So because he made his debut in the 2020 season, and he was drafted in 2015. So a little bit larger window for him to stay over there. Um, but even then, I mean, he hasn't been the most healthy player in the world. And well, even this players broadcast just for the Twins game, they were saying, yeah, once you get older, Pablo, like it's gonna hurt. Like we're still standing up because it hurts to sit back down,
Yeah.
and it's that wear and tear on
Well, I
on
mean, what
their
was it?
bodies.
How old it was Mauer before he went to first base? I mean, he wasn't super old. I mean, he had played a few years, but he was what, 30, I want to say like 31, 32 maybe.
Yeah.
Before it was just like his knees were not what they were, and he just, it was still
Hmm.
that old style of catcher where you're up on the balls of your feet and you're squatting the whole time. It wasn't,
The leg kick out.
yeah, the leg down style of catching hadn't quite caught on yet. So I mean, that, as growing up as a kid playing the position and playing through college and pros, like, it did damage to his knees before it.
Oh yeah, even I because we both caught when we were in little league, and your knees would be sore in little league.
Oh yeah. So, but I'm just saying, like, these are the things that I would much rather. I mean, I guess, like, I would like to delay that a little bit. Well, I mean, it's not delaying it because you're still doing it, but mentally, I would like to have more fun putting my body through that than necessarily just collecting a paycheck for it.
Hmm. Yeah, and they talk about it. Was it? I don't even know what. Yeah, it was today thing or no yesterday. Ben Lieber, who played linebacker in the NFL, he still talks about the bubble guts and how much he hated right after the 4th of July because he had to go to training camp.
Yeah.
And now it's not what it is now. It was harder for them. But he was like, I love playing the games. I love being around the team, but I hated having to go to training camp. And yeah, that's football. Like even in college, he's like, I hated it. And you hate that part, but most guys you hear, they're like, we just want to be in college and be around the guys. And that's what they miss the most too. Like even the pros, they're like, I miss being around my teammates because I love those guys.
Yeah.
But then also in college, you might not necessarily have as much turnover, depending. It's changing now, but you're more likely in college, I think, to have less changeover than in the pros, depending, I guess, depending on your team and what you did that previous year. But I think with college now, it has changed where the transfer portal has gotten out of hand.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I still don't know how I feel about the transfer portal. It has certainly benefited the Western program immensely. I don't, I
Mhm.
don't know that they would be where they are without it. Um, I guess the argument is it just gives college players kind of the same opportunity that every other, or student athletes, the same opportunity that every other student has. Like, if I wanted to, if my classes weren't going well, and I wanted to transfer or leave the university, I could have just walked out at any time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to go to my advisors and be like, "Hey, I'm thinking about changing schools. Um, can you put my name in? And can I be released from whatever obligations I have here?" No, just, I don't come back the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a college
But
coach. College coaches can be bought out and or say, "Hey, I want out of my contract. This other university is going to pay my buyout. Um, I'm going to go to another university." PJ Fleck was adamant that he was coming back to Kalamazoo. No one other than him knew he was coming back to Kalamazoo to pack his shit to move to Minnesota. After he had just signed a 10-year extension or whatever it had been, um, to I think actually make less money and be mediocre for the last 7 years or whatever it's been, almost 10 years
hey,
now.
we won the Duke's Mayo Bowl with Flava Flav as the
In
mascot.
incredible. How many Big Ten championships do you got? How
We
many
almost
Big
had one.
How many Big Ten championship games have you played in?
We almost played in one.
How
And then I
many
was at the game where we got
how
blown
many
out.
New Year's Six bowls have you gone to with PJ Fleck as your head coach?
Well, that's kind of changed now. But
He was there when they were still New Year's Six bowl games and they weren't in the playoffs.
that is true.
So, because he has one MAC championship, he has one one New Year's Six bowl game appearance as a Group of Five representative. He had an
I'm still
undefeated
upset
season,
that
almost
their
beat
best
Wisconsin
chance
in the Cotton Bowl.
their best chance to play for a Big Ten championship lost to Wisconsin in the snow. I was there. I was very sad, and snow kept getting in my beer.
But so I'm just saying, like,
But I I understand your point, but
and who's
I,
to who's to say that a coach couldn't be a dick and choose to not play a dude for 2 3 years just for the sake that he doesn't like him or he doesn't fit in the system, but he also won't give him the ability to go somewhere else.
I I still think that there has to be some sort of structure around it. And it, you get these kids that they come in as freshmen, and yeah, the like you said, the coach might have been a dick and promised them sunshine and rainbows, and all of a sudden they're not playing. I get being frustrated, but the issue I have with it is they're sitting there, I didn't get to play. I'm taking my ball and going somewhere else. No, get better. And you know what? After year two, maybe it's you just have to stick with a program for 2 years, and after 2 years, then you can transfer. Um, unless the coach leaves like it was previously, that's completely understandable because you signed up to play for this coach, and this university. Um, if your grades are really struggling, that could be another reason that you do it, but there's like a threshold GPA that, hey, I can't even stay eligible. I need to try to transfer somewhere else for whatever
Or
reason.
down to
There just
D2,
have to
D3.
yeah, there just have to be some sort of guidelines where and
But
even with this NIL BS, kids are transferring, they're going playing 1 year and then they're going another place because, oh, I had a pretty good year, I can get more money here. And it's regardless of the sport, I just think there should be some sort of guideline um to it.
I mean, I see your
And
point, but at the same time, are we putting? I feel like this constantly gets lost. I think there's more conversations being had than we're privy to about who's going into the portal and when. Um, I don't think it's all on the individual player. Are there some players? 100%. There's some players who are like, this isn't what I signed up for. I want playing time. Um, I'm gonna go somewhere where I can. Uh, the coach is different than he was during recruiting. Whatever the case may be, example does exist. I'm not trying to downplay that. But I
Hmm.
also think there's a number of kids who, when they legitimately look at it, if they sat themselves down and they have a conversation with the coach, and maybe some of them do, but the coach says, "Hey, did you give your all to this program, and do you absolutely want to be here?" And they may say no. And is it going to get any better next year? Maybe not. Is somewhere else better suited for you? Yes. Now, could a coach also come in and say, "Hey, look, we've got this kid coming in, McKenna. Let's just play with McKenna's
Hmm.
situation, right? Because he signed late in the summer.
Yep.
Maybe Penn State knows that he's coming in, and there's a freshman on the team who didn't play a single game last year. He goes in and talks to the coach like, "Hey, what does it look like I'm going to have opportunity wise next year? Am I going to be able to compete for a spot?" And initially the coach is like, "Yeah, you should be able to compete for a spot. We do have a couple guys coming in um, who should be okay." And then the next day he gets a call like, "Hey, McKenna is absolutely interested in Penn State. Projected to be the number one prospect next year, number one draft pick." You go back to that kid as the coach and go, "Hey, look, I know I told you whatever yesterday, but with the new recruit that we're really trying to land, we're not going to have a spot for you next year. It's just not going to happen. You're going to have to find somewhere else. Maybe we'll help you find a spot, but it's just not going to work." Like, I think those conversations are still taking place right now, and players that where that conversation takes place, they have the opportunity to go look somewhere else. Whereas they may not have had that before. Then the coach may just come in and go, "Yeah, bud, sorry, we're not going to play you, but we're not going to let you transfer either because if someone gets hurt, we might need you."
I think this year, and McKenna is a bad example because obviously that news just came out today. Those kids now they have no opportunity to transfer.
Yeah.
Like that transfer window is
Well,
closed.
again, it depends on how
So
much
it's
of realistically Penn State and Michigan State knew they were in the running long before he was committed, and they may have cut a kid opening that spot. Like Michigan State could have cut a kid or had a kid jump in the portal, like, "Hey, we got an opportunity at this kid. If you want to go look somewhere else, we won't hate you for it." And they're in the transfer portal. Now they might go back to that kid and go, "Hey, like, it didn't work out. He chose Penn State. So the spot's back open and you could compete next year." And that kid could be like, "Yeah, okay, I'll still come back and play." Or he could be like, "Nah, screw that. Like, you guys tried to sell my spot out for a kid that you weren't even 100% sure on. Like, I'm staying in the portal and I'm going to who knows wherever."
but it kind of back to my point, putting guidelines around that. Okay, at what point do you cut off commitments? First of all, and then um maybe do you put a guideline in saying that it you have to write a letter for this kid and have it documented saying this is what you said, they can come back, but like exactly what you said, hey, we're pursuing this kid, we're not going to have a spot on you, you can look somewhere else.
Yeah.
That would be a guideline versus just kind of the free for all that it's been. Just a little all I'm asking is a little structure
Yeah,
on
no,
it,
I don't
around
disagree.
it.
I just don't know. I mean, I guess there's always going to be an exception to the rule, right? Or a situation where you're going to be like, "Well, what if this happens? What if that happens?" Like, I guess sometimes you're just going to have to look at it and go, "Well, I guess you're just disappointed for a year." Like, you just have to suck it up and sit for a year on a team that you don't want to be on, or a coach has to swallow the pill and have a player he's not 100% juiced about on the team for a year, and there's nothing you can do about it. Because the new rule, or not the new rule, but one of the rules this year is that if you do have a player, either he comes from the ECHL or not the ECHL, the CHL.
CHL.
I think it's any player on your roster starting this year, any player on your roster who leaves and either goes back to the CHL or the USHL, you're not opening a roster spot by having them leave like in December. So you can't bring in another kid for the second half of the year.
Interesting.
Yeah. So unless I guess like there's an injury and you can bring a kid up, but if for whatever reason McKenna didn't work out at Penn State and he wanted to go back to the CHL if he still had eligibility at the CHL, Penn State would lose that roster spot for the rest of the year.
I mean, but then you could do, who was it that brought up was it CC that brought up the USHL goalie?
No, it was Denver.
Denver. I knew it was one of the Colorado teams.
Yeah,
Um,
when
like you could do that.
Davis was hurt.
Yeah, Davis was hurt, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's
Um,
like an injury situation. Like I'm sure there's exemptions to the rule, but if you're just like, there's another situation like a kid doesn't have enough playing time, or you thought he was ready, but he doesn't seem to be developmentally ready yet. His skills aren't there, or he's struggling academically and just needs another year of whatever to get his grades back. And you're like, well, it's not going to work here. Like go back to
mhm.
the USHL or whatever. But you just can't bring in another person like to fill that spot immediately or whatever. I guess
Yeah.
is
And
I just don't know what that would look like though. If you know, is it you can't transfer until after your freshman year? Because we do see a lot of freshmen transfer. Uh, can you not transfer till
I
after your sophomore year?
I think it's after your sophomore year, unless like you have those. Let's see, I'm gonna be talking on my butt here for a minute, which is normally what I do anyway, but you almost have that window of kids you're recruiting, them signing, and then giving kids that you say, hey, we're like go look for the transfer portal. And I don't know the timing of everything like this, and how it goes, but do it more structured where, okay, these are the kids we're recruiting. If they commit, you might not have a spot, but we need to wait until they commit, which that's going to rub the kid a wrong way.
Oh yeah.
But
Well, I think you don't have to commit or show up at school until like you have until classes start. Uh, Once enrollment is over or whatever, or classes have started, you're locked in. Um, and you or you can't sign anybody new. Uh, I
I,
believe is the rule. So
I
basically, for I mean, what Bump was a late addition to the Western roster. Uh, the Sukinskis were late additions to the Western roster. I think they were here for camp. But I mean, last year Western had that goalie that ended up going to Lindenwood, who I think has transferred again now. Was originally supposed to go to Duluth, went back to the USHL, uh, was committed to Western, was here practicing.
yeah.
Hampton becomes available. He leaves to go to Lindenwood. As in, okay, you're at Lindenwood, transfers out from Lindenwood. But the Sukinskis were late transfers because of the situation that happened with Northern Michigan. Bump was a late transfer because Vermont lost their coach. He was originally committed there. And I think it was like August when he decided to come to Western and jumped in.
Well, and I think even for coaches leaving, it, now you're not going to do this as the NCAA because, like with Northern Michigan, he went to, was it the EC or was it AHL?
I don't remember.
Whatever. He went pro,
Yeah.
and so you're not going to tell them what to do, which is unfortunate, and you don't want to screw the kids over. But if it's a coach leaving, say like Hastings going from Mankato to Wisconsin, and if he were to do that late, well, you have to have a timeline and say if you're making a quote unquote parallel move just within Division 1 hockey, and that's what I'm considering parallel, you have to do it by this time so the incoming coach has adequate time. I It would take a very like a multiple day planning session on how to figure out how to do this fairly for everyone, but also rein in the multi transfers. And I mean, even I'm just gonna say it. Tristan, he comes here for a year from 2 years at Denver and then wins the national championship. And now he transferred again to Mankato. Like, I, I understand it. I want him to have the personal success. And it's going to happen. But he also did 2 years at one program and then transferred. So he gutted it out at Denver, won a national title there, came to Western, won a national title. I just think you should have at least 2 years in a program.
I mean, again, I'm not disagreeing with it. I can also see where students are, or students and or coaches are both like, I mean, we're getting to the point where it's so much closer to pro sports than it has ever been that it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
How many guys sign 1 year contracts, or they may sign a multi-year deal, and by the time the trade deadline comes up, like, hey, we know you signed for 6 years here, and you're 6 months into that 6 year contract, but well, the team's not doing so great, or we thought we were going to get something different than what we're getting, and thank you for uprooting your entire family and all 6 kids who are between kindergarten and fifth grade, but you're now playing in Vancouver as opposed to playing in the sunshine of Florida. So head on north and enjoy the snow. Maybe wait till the off season to move your family, let them wrap up school here for the year or whatever. But thank you for your service and have a good one. Or who was it? The Carolina, was it Carolina that fired their coach after an away game, and we're like, yeah, so about that team bus ride. Here's all your shit. Call a cab.
They left him in Florida.
Yeah, or wherever. Like,
or was it the Florida coach? Whatever. I remember what you're talking about. Like, they just fired him and left him there. But I was thinking about, and now I remembered something to bring it back to you saying
we're one step away from it being like, I can't wait for the day when college can make trades, can trade players. Like, what are we doing?
Oh yeah.
Like,
it's
academically, you're still imagine this world, right? Academically, you're a student at Harvard. Fuck it. Who cares? Whatever. You're a student at Harvard. You're going to get your degree from Harvard, but you're going to play hockey for Denver.
Yeah. But
because why not?
One of the things that I was thinking about with you saying, what's the difference between these student athletes and just you as a regular student, and that commitment, because you can just walk out and say I'm transferring. Like, there's no issue there. The difference is the school is not spending tons of money to recruit you specifically.
Oh no, I get it. But I mean, there's also
and so,
but there are kids on academic scholarship, or there are kids in research programs who have gone out of their way to get to certain universities, or certain universities have found out about them and giving them every opportunity, or going out of their way to make it not easier, but giving them the opportunity that maybe not the average academic student has. And that kid can still at any time go, yeah, I'm out. I'm going to go continue my research project with this university because they have more funding, or they have better equipment, or they're actually more geared towards aerospace, whereas you're more geared towards geosciences or whatever. Like, those things can happen too. Or professors can be like, well, my research is good here. I've got an offer for this place because I've been headhunted. I think it exists in all realms and aspects. It's just athletes on all levels, and it started, pro players with contracts and the inability to have say in whether they could be traded or not was a thing. It trickled down to colleges and student athletes not even being able to transfer it all at one point, to then having to jump through hoops of asking permission of the coach. And if the coach says no, you have to go to the the person above the coach. And if he says no, you have to go make appeal after appeal after appeal to get the opportunity to transfer if it's granted. But at the same time, if you got hurt on the field, they were like, "Well, sucks to be you. You now have a permanent limp, and since you can't play football, your scholarship is revoked. Well, you can't afford classes. Sorry, man. I guess you're just out of the university, and you'll have to figure it out on your own."
Yeah, I just, and I don't know how this, because I was never in this position, but the the academic, unless you're like super highly touted, you're not having professors fly to your home. You're not having them do home visits. They're not coming to watch you write a paper. You're not, so the difference in committing to a university as an athlete versus a highly touted musician or academic scholar, it's the amount of money on the front end that the university is paying than it is on the back end
Oh yeah,
with scholarships. And
but
it's still not even necessarily remotely close.
no. But at the same time,
But
they're also not getting all of those players.
right. But they're not necessarily getting all of those students either
Right.
in the scholarships. But yeah, that's also the difference though too, is they're only giving those scholarships to the students that are there. And if the student wants to transfer, they're looking at other schools. They will go to a school that they think is better, that will also give them the scholarship. That university doesn't have to worry about it, and they don't have that front end
I mean, there are some
recruitment.
universities who are re-recruiting students and offering scholarships to athletic students too, though. Like, and
Yeah.
now with the legislation, like all 26 kids on the hockey team are scholarship students.
Hmm.
Like that's part of the bill, is like all of your athletes are scholarshiped. I think it's like football goes up to like 108 scholarships for, as opposed to like 82 or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
and now universities can pay students directly. Like, I think at some point we're going to see contracts, and now especially with the fact that like students can be paid directly by the university, uh, and not just through, yeah, there's
Well, and that,
NIL, but there's also the collective, the collective, what is it? Basically the TV right payments.
like a CBA.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah,
where
collective bargaining agreement.
that's where like the salary cap stuff comes from, is like the conferences and the schools having television deals. So like Notre Dame having a direct independent deal with NBC as opposed to being in a conference. Like that
Hmm.
money will be associate or can be spent on student athletes and given to student athletes, some of it anyway.
And shoot, maybe that's what I'm even arguing for when I'm saying guidelines. Shoot, that might be contracts where it's, you know, you're committed for 2 years, whether you like it or not.
And there might be
It,
a stipulation in the contract that like, hey, we talk about this every year, or after 2 years, I get to be here for a minimum of 2 years. Uh, and then there's a negotiation or a talk after that 2 years. Like, all right, yeah, this isn't working. We'll go ahead and let you out of the rest of this, and you can transfer if you want to or whatever.
yeah, it's the whole thing. And for different sports too, like I think the last time we talked kind of brought it up. These schools that hockey is their big program, because a lot of the schools are D2, or a lot of their sports, every sport except for hockey is D2. What does that look like? Or Colorado College, everything is D3 except for hockey. But then even like a Cal State Fullerton, they're known for baseball, or Southern Mississippi, their baseball program is huge. They're usually competitive in the College World Series. What does that look like for them? Do they get more of an advantage than like in Alabama football? potentially will, or Minnesota football, where or Indiana basketball, Duke basketball. Uh, how does that look
Yeah.
for everything?
Yeah, I don't know.
So
I mean, Penn State is primarily known for football, and they're spending $700,000 on what is projected to be the number one pick in next year's NHL draft, allegedly.
allegedly's.
Allegedly. So fun fact: if you go on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, and you look at Mike McMahon's tweets, he has one up here that kind of relates back to what we're talking about, number one draft picks or first round draft picks. Um, but his tweet is, since COVID, there have been 5 different national champions, and only one player drafted in the first round has lifted the trophy, and that would be Zev Buyam.
Yep.
Yep, in 2024 with Denver. So, and almost 40 players have been drafted in the first round from the NCHC. So 1 out of 40 has gone on to win the national championship after being drafted in the first round, or while in college, drafted in the first round and then playing. Because Zeev actually technically lifted the trophy before being drafted.
Yeah, he did. Um, and even then, well, he was drafted, but I think he needs another year. I think he needs a year in the AHL based off of what I saw. There were good moments, there were a lot of bad moments,
Yeah.
but we'll see what his offseason brings. But I don't think they're going to send him down. That's just my opinion. And we both know what we both think of him, like stellar player.
Oh yeah, he was. I don't want to say he was head and shoulders above talent wise, but there was a gap. How much of a gap? I don't know. It's hard to really say. Um,
I mean, that goal he scored.
between him and most of college hockey players, because when he wanted to, if he had an opportunity, like,
That goal he scored in St. Paul
oh yeah, yeah,
against Western
yes,
was ridiculous.
yes, but at the same time, both game-winning goals that Western scored in double overtime, both in St. Paul and in St. Louis, were scored on him
Mm-hmm.
on a defensive issue. And he was very good defensively too. He just had 2 opportunities where Western for some was able to get the better of him. Bump makes an incredible play to get past him and basically get 1-on-1 with Davis in St. Paul and ripped it glove
Mm-hmm.
side, because for whatever reason Davis was weak glove side and Western took advantage of it both games that they played against him. And then the play that Michael scores, William is unable, like, he gets his stick in the lane, but he's unable to control the puck or push the puck out on Constantini's pass, and it ends up on Michael's stick, and he rips it to get Western to the Final Four, or the championship game. But there were also certain circumstances where he could take over a game, and if he had the puck on his stick, if you weren't paying enough attention, he was going to bury it on you. So offensively, maybe the best offensive defenseman in college hockey last year, if not
Mm-hmm.
top 5, top 3. Defensively, top 10. I think his defensive play was slightly behind his offensive play, but he was still very good defensively for Denver, and did not make a lot of mistakes. But Western was just able to capitalize on a couple of mistaken plays, and found ways to score goals and win big games against that Denver team.
I think he's kind of my comparison would be a smaller Burns, where he's still solid defensively, but gifted offensively.
And he's also
But
very, very young.
yeah,
Like
and I think
his birthday's not until December. Like, I think he's 18 still.
I don't know what he
He's
is,
18 or
but
19. He is still very young and had to. Let me double check.
And well, going off that's why he has a very good defensive core that he can learn from in so he has the old vets with Brodeen and Spurgeon to learn from.
Yeah,
He
he's
has a guy a lot closer to his age with Faber, who is a super solid defenseman. And then he's got the brute of Bogosian and whoever the hell we decide to throw out there.
so yeah, he's only
Uh,
19. He'll be 20
yeah.
in December. So, I mean,
Yeah, he's
he
gonna
played
learn.
the first 2-ish months of college hockey at 17.
Yeah. I mean he's
I was like,
I'm still excited for him. Like I could not believe
okay,
he dropped
I think
to us.
I think I can make this statement. Talent wise, he was head and shoulders above 90% of college hockey players. Mentally and hockey IQ wise, I don't think he was head and shoulders above, but he was in the higher 50% than college hockey players. I think those
I'd
are
put
fair
him
statements to make.
I'd say maybe like 70%.
I mean, that's still higher
Yeah.
than 50% of college hockey players.
Yeah. Like and you could see it.
I think he
He
made.
came in.
I think there were certain times where he wanted to make the play a little too much,
Hmm.
and if he would have had the knowledge and experience to sit back and let the game come to him, I think he actually makes both of those plays against Western teams, and we don't score those goals.
And the one unfair advantage to him coming into the Wild organization, especially like right in the playoffs, was we were spoiled with Faber. We were absolutely spoiled with him and what he did at the U and how he came in and played whatever the last 3, 5 games that he played and then into the playoffs. It was immediately like, dude, you're a starter.
What
Now you have a guy as highly touted as Zeev is.
what year
We
is
have
this?
that expectation.
What year is this for Faber?
This will be his third year, I think, technically.
Okay, so I mean
Maybe fourth.
they came in around the same time. Then they were both
Yeah,
young.
yeah. They're roughly
The only real difference is Brock Faber was the second round pick, 45th overall by the Kings. Um, yeah, he was that kid that got his rights got traded while he was still in college.
yeah, because he was with the Gophers and then the Kings had him. We traded Fiala, we got Faber
Okay, so he spent three
in that
years
trade.
at Minnesota,
Yeah,
and this will be his third. This year will be his third full season. He played
full season.
two games in 2022, 2023. So after his third season at Minnesota, and
And
then
then we threw
two
him
full
right in the
seasons.
playoffs.
Yeah, two full seasons. He played 82 games 2023, 2024, and 78 games last year. Um,
Because there's a great picture of him celebrating a Kaprizov goal in the stands. And then 2 years later, he's teammates with him.
yeah. So I mean, he'll turn 23 next month. So yeah, him and Ziva definitely kind of around similar ages, but had an extra year of college, uh, which may be the benefit and the difference between his development or where he was at in his development and where Ziva's in his. Um,
Yeah, and both played under great coaches with Carl and Motzko.
oh yeah,
So it's not a coaching issue. I think it's that you're, but I don't.
I think he'll get
I,
there.
I,
I think he understands the game. I think it's just the experience of playing at that level. I don't know that he has it yet, and that's the thing about the NHL, right? Like you're playing if you're 18 years old, right, or 19 years old, 20 years old, you have let's be fair. 14 years of hockey experience, give or take. Like, say you maybe started playing on it on some sort of team at like 5,
Mm-hmm.
but how much of that is organized, legitimate team play and not just a
Versus
bunch of,
minnows in a bucket.
yeah, everyone chasing the puck and no goalies in net, or not actual real dialed
They still
in.
have the shin pads and like the gear of everyone else.
Yeah, versus you can't even really tell who's on what team because all the jerseys look the same. uh they were bought at the bargain bin at Play It Again Sports, versus a guy in the NHL who has 14 years of NHL experience
Mm-hmm.
at 34
And
or 32. You know what I mean? Like that's
yeah,
that is a thing that exists, and it's why the NHL is where it is, because you have that knowledge and that experience and that development path. And it's why it's so hard for guys who you think are great players to crack into that league.
yeah. Sorry, I got
No, you're
wrong.
good. I mean, we've been going for an hour and a half. We probably could
Yeah,
shut her down at any point here.
yeah.
So,
Text asking what Micah's number is, and I'm like, I don't know who this is.
so yeah. I mean, it's all just trying to get opportunities, and I think there was still a little bit of an emotional hangover, um, for the way that season ended for Denver, uh, having the emotional high of like coming back on Western, and then Western getting the game winning goal and losing to the same team twice in double overtime on a defensive miscue, that he may or may not have been thinking about. I don't know. Depends on how quickly he can pull the athletic switch and not worry about something anymore, right?
Yeah, I'm
Because,
just gonna say yes because I was not listening
well, no, I
at
figured,
all.
but I would just say like he was probably a little bit emotionally hungover from the way the season ended, having lost twice to a team that you played in conference,
Oh,
and you could argue, on a play that he made or didn't make changes the outcome of one or both of those games. Um, and then going and playing pro hockey, and then lining up and having to see one of those goofy guys on the other team square up and go, "Didn't I just play you like a week and a half ago? I have to watch your team celebrate the championship," when Tim Washy
yeah.
skated up into the faceoff circle. So, oh wait, no, he didn't play that game. That's right. He didn't. His first. Oh yeah, and his first NHL start ever was in the playoffs. They didn't even give him the gimme game against the Ducks at the end of the regular season.
Yeah, that is right.
So not only are you asking this 19-year-old kid to jump into the toughest league in the world, you're doing it when every game matters that much more, and every player out there is trying to reach a goal that much more important. So yeah, that was some good planning there for your Minnesota
Yeah,
Wild.
good job, Billy G.
Good times.
All
All right.
right. Well,
Well,
I'm getting yelled at to.
this is as good a spot as any to wrap this one up. It's kind of hit or miss. I have a 2-year-old. She doesn't know how to go to bed regularly. Sometimes she sucks at going to bed, and sometimes she's great about going to bed. But we'll try and do these here. We're probably gonna get started on deep dives on teams. I don't think rosters are out just yet, and I really, really want rosters. We might be closer here now. Um, I know Western's unofficial roster. But as far as officially who's on what team, I still don't know. It's all rumor and speculation. So hopefully those will be coming out soon because I'd like to get into those, and maybe we'll try and reach out to our buddy Tom when we get to the ASU thing. I would spend Miami's got an interesting roster of who's expected to be there from the transfer portal. That should be fun to talk about when we get to them. So some teasers for episodes later in the summer here. And
Yeah. Once we're back from, I'm back from vacation / work.
Yeah, and we're only 3 months away from college hockey. Isn't it grand? But I think that'll do it until the next episode. Pucks on it, good things happen, like Go Horns and Fight Songs. He's Mike, I'm Wes. We are gone as long as I hit the right button. Oh, there's scrolly stuff at the bottom that's been there. So there's some stuff for you. And there's YouTube things. Okay, now I'm going to try and hit the right button. Bye.